do you want to keep trying to fit in a box and creating a life that you think you should? Or are you ready to quit shooting on yourself and figure out how to thrive in your purpose?
You're listening to the Redefining Wealth podcast with Patrice Washington. And this is the community where we learn all about what it means to chase purpose, not money. Welcome back for another installment of this Client Success Week. I am super excited, first of all, to be in the Creator for Purpose Challenge, because this is the opportunity that I get to pour into thousands and thousands of people across many social media networks and platforms to really just push this idea of really leaning into purpose and being honest with yourself about what you truly feel aligned to do in this season of your life. And I am interviewing all this week some of my amazing clients from the last cohort of Purpose to Platform. And yesterday we heard from Shabria. Today we are going to hear from Amy Verlennich. Amy, I hope I said your name right, girl. We're going to hear from my client, Amy. Now get ready, because she really darn near moved me to tears. She was moved to tears. It was just a beautiful experience hearing her story and how Purpose to Platform has been such a game changer in her life and her mission to help people rebel against the ordinary. Without further ado, here's my girl, Amy V. Welcome to the Redefining Wealth podcast, Amy.
Woohoo!
Oh my gosh. Okay. Now this week is all about our clients. And if you can't tell already, this woman right here is the biggest ball of energy. If you could feel someone's love and warmth and energy through like how they chat, I'm talking about what comes out of a Zoom chat or in a Facebook group, like
I love that.
Your face needs to be by like the definition of community engagement and community cheerleader and all the things. Okay, Amy, I have to know, how the heck did you find me or Redefining Wealth or Purpose to Platform, whatever you found first? How did you find us?
So my husband and I have talked a lot about that because in my life, there has been a series that I cannot deny anymore of unplanned events. The greatest things in my life have come from places I never imagined, and I never saw them coming, so I was never going to have children. I thought if you would have asked 18-year-old me, how many kids are you going to have? I would have been like, maybe I'll get married, but I am never having kids, 11 kids later, and so even finding Purpose to Platform and finding you, it was so ironic because I had just been in Florida for 6 months in a travel trailer, with 7 kids, a dog. And we came back to Idaho and to restore, fix, take care of all of the loose ends that we had left after the pandemic. And I was maybe 5 minutes from the coach that we had in Purpose to Platform. Like Sandra, Coach Sandra lives in Destin. And when I found that out, I was like, okay, literally, I could have run into her. And so I have this moment of, well, it could have been different. And it was that reality again that I've seen over and over again in my life, that all of it is the journey and how we get there. I can't stop one thing and say, oh, if I just would have found Sandra in Florida, because I would have found her in a different headspace in my mind.
Right.
And I actually found you because you were speaking at another event. And so I saw, I mean, did you talk, Tanya Dalton?
Yes.
Yes. And so I was at one of her online events and you were there. And I was actually watching somebody else there, but you started speaking and I was like, who is this? I need to know more. And after I was done listening to you, I went and I found all the information on you, went to the website. You had those 6 pillars that just really, it really spoke to my heart immediately, because I'd been told, I'd been in the blogging world back in 2005, and I'd been told that what I wanted to do wasn't possible. That I couldn't, I had to pick one thing, and you're killing your multi-passionate, I was a multi-passionate creative before that was a thing, before anybody knew what that was, right? And so I saw you speaking on these topics and I was all in. And so then I couldn't get enough of you. And it just happened then that you were going to be doing Committed to the Call. And so I signed up for the challenge, and I had no idea how my life would change.
Oh my gosh. Well, Tanya Dalton's my girl. Shout out to Tanya. She's a friend of the podcast.
Yes.
And I just went live today. This will air later, obviously, but I just went live today and I was talking about how your life is always speaking to you. And how often we just ignore the breadcrumbs, I feel like, that are being dropped that will lead us down the path that we should be on, because it doesn't always look the way we think it should, or it doesn't come in the packaging we think it should come in, or we don't feel like the time is the time. Right. But life is always speaking to us. And if we just follow the nudges and the hunches, you literally have no idea where you'll end up.
No idea. And Purpose to Platform was that for me, when December can usually be a really tough month for me. It's kind of looking back on the year, and I'm a to-do list kind of a person, and so instead of celebrating the wins naturally, I make myself do that, but naturally it's looking at the to-do list and going, well, these are all the things I didn't get done. Yeah. What was so incredible about 2021 for me was every blessing that I received in 2021, I never saw coming. I could have never planned for it. In January of 2021, I couldn't have written down and said, this is where I want to be at the end, because everything came out of nowhere for me, and I think that when I realized that, it kind of challenged me to go, okay, now wait a minute, because January is full of let's plan, let's get the year, let's get the bag, let's do, all of those things. And that's really great. But here I was finding myself sitting in a spot that was like, but God, what if my plans are messing up the greatest things that you have for me? Like, I don't want it if it's not from you, God. Like, this is what you brought to my life in 2021. And while I can tell you there were parts that were so tremendously difficult, there, like I said, Purpose to Platform put me on a different, I don't know, it just changed my mindset in a way that my children's children will talk about this woman I am now because of that, And so,
oh my gosh, Amy, what do you feel are the big differences between who you were coming into Purpose to Platform and how you feel today?
I before the pandemic, I'd spent 15 years in ministry, like deep in ministry, and to the point where I need you to understand that is not where I came from. That is another thing I never saw coming. When I was getting married to my husband, in 1995, trust me, I did not think I was marrying a pastor. Pastor's wife was the furthest thing. I mean, even beyond having kids, right? Like, it was another thing I never saw coming. and we did church differently. We didn't do it like what normal church might look like. We were reaching people who were used to going to festivals and bars, and we made it comfortable in that way. We were reaching people that looked like us. And we were doing things differently. So I've been helping people recognize their greatness and instilling hope, that there's a second chance, and that God created us individually and uniquely, one of a kind. So the last thing we should be doing is trying to live ordinary lives, and comparing ourselves to other people, because we're supposed to stand out. And I don't mean like in an extroverted, introverted way. I'm talking about you were created to be more than you have settled for, because you have no idea everything that God put inside of you, right? And so I'd spent 15 years, telling people about that. Purpose to Platform shifted it in a way that it was like, now it's personal. Ooh. This world that I want to create, that we did for 15 years, telling people about Jesus, the real Jesus, not the one that has all these rules and regulations, the first rebel, against ordinary, that I spent time doing that. But now it's about living that out, so my daughters and my daughter-in-law and my sons grow up in a world that does not settle for mediocrity and conformity anymore. I have children ranging from 33 down to 7 years old. And I knew I was creating, I was being a part of impacting the world that they were going to grow up in. But let's face it, right? The world is so crazy right now. I mean, you could have been planning for a million things, and there were things that nobody saw coming in all of this, right? But that doesn't mean that we can't thrive. That doesn't mean we can't still learn. That for me in my life, I'm going to say this.
Do your thing.
I spent 15 years in ministry being told as a woman what I could and couldn't say, trying to act and be a certain way, allowing myself to be uncomfortable, to grow so Jesus could change me, so that Jesus could show me what it was to not rebel for the sake of rebelling, but with purpose,
Yeah.
And now it's time to shake things up. We grow so much when we allow ourselves to be uncomfortable, when we allow ourselves to be challenged, when we allow ourselves to say, what if, when we listen to the other side of where we're standing, I mean, the last couple of years, man, we have gotten really good at saying what we think and how we feel. But how much time are we spending finding out what it would be like on the other side? You put something in motion that I know, Patrice, we'll look back on, and I don't know, there'll be things that you may not have ever even recognized or realized, but what you're doing matters. And it was just such a great experience. There's just so much more than I even planned. And I know that truly God was in it from, the get-go, not only the committed to the call in that experience itself, but then to have platform or Purpose to Platform, to have that given to me in a way that I couldn't have asked for it. I wouldn't have known,
Yeah, it is one of those things you don't know what the heck you're getting into, right? Coming into Purpose to Platform, it's like, maybe I'll learn some marketing tactics, or maybe I'll learn, some of these foundational things about starting a business online. But there is so much healing that happens in the midst of Purpose to Platform. And I love, love, love that you said this time it's personal. Like, now it's personal.
Oh, it is.
Because we have so many ideas and so many thoughts, and it's so easy to recite the cliches, the mantras, the affirmations, like all the things that we've heard. But when you finally spin that around and say, but what am I going to do to actually walk that out? And then have a community of people who are like, yeah, what are you going to do, right? To walk that out.
The community was, I could have never even imagined it. I mean, just an incredible, incredible experience. And it wasn't just me. Everybody I talked to was that, you know, I will say, you know, you definitely get out what you put in. And because of how it was offered to me, I had determined from the very beginning, I am going to get everything out of this that I can, and I am going to give everything, you know, that I possibly can. You know, I'm going to show up, and
you did. Let me just say. And you did. Okay, so the running joke in Amy's cohort for Purpose to Platform is that Amy will quote what you said in the chat before you finish the sentence. I have no idea how she does it, but literally words would drop from me. And I'm talking about things I've never said, because what I love about how we operate in this space is that, yes, we have a core curriculum, but it is a very spirit-led community. So if we need to go off on a tangent,
we
need to go deeper into what's going on with someone or any of those things, it's altar call. We're going to stop for the one and like do what we have to do, right? And sometimes I'm saying it, but I'm looking at the chat and I'm like, did I finish my thought? Because this is an original thought. Or have I said this before? Because how does she know? I'm like, how does this happen? Girl, I don't know how you do that. It is.
Well, and you talk about the spirit-led parts of it. You know, I think that I think it was week 4. When I asked the question, I don't even remember what the question was, because when I've watched back the replay, even, you know, you and I kind of got to a point where you'd answered the question, whatever, and then you kind of just stopped. And I had said something in passing, and you went back to that. And it was the, I help women rebel against ordinary. I help people. That's what I've always done. I help people rebel against ordinary. And you actually went back to that. We were already moving on. You went back to that, and it was that, which kills me again, because had we not went back to it, Patrice, I don't know if I would have recognized it for what it was. Even though I told my husband, it was that morning, that week, sometime, we bought the domain name for Rebel Against Ordinary. I said, I didn't know what it was. And Patrice, since Purpose to Platform, I've looked over old notes and stuff. And while I was in Florida for those 6 months, I actually had written down on a piece of paper, revolt against normal.
It was all, wait a minute. So the live that I did this morning where I said, your life is always speaking to you, right? That is the exact thing that I was talking about. And I was saying that it's so important that we record these thoughts, these ideas, right? Because God is planting the seed all along. But sometimes we're not ready yet to cultivate it. But the seed is planted.
That was it. I mean, like, so when I say, have you ever watched the movie, It's a Wonderful Life?
Girl, yeah, that was a long time ago, though. Tell me about it.
Okay. The whole thing, though, is that, you know, he's thinking of ending his life, but, you know, he looks and everybody would be better without me, but then goes back through the thing, through his life, and realizes, you know, he says, well, what do you mean, my brother, this, and your brother, and, you know, this happened. And the guy was like, none of those things happened because you weren't here. And for me, that's such a, I don't know, just this, I struggle with regret. You know, I want to live a life where I don't have regret. And yet the thing about it is that there are those failures, those mistakes, the things that when we look back, go, what the heck was I thinking? If I change one of those moments in time, I become a different person, right? Yeah. And so I can say, gee, why, when I was in Florida, 5 minutes away from Sandra, why couldn't I have run into or heard about Patrice, you know, all of those things. But it was, I literally didn't, I started Purpose to Platform in Idaho. And what's crazy about this, Patrice, is that Idaho became this place of great loss for my family. We'd moved here from Minnesota to plant a church. It was so hopeful. We bought a new house. This was a second chance for us like no other. And it became a place, when we left for that season, became this place that just represented loss, great loss. And when it hit me, when it connected, that as I looked back on Purpose to Platform, it happened here. So the start of something new, or maybe just like what you said, the culmination of something that I wasn't getting to the first round here, because there's parts of this that I could look at you and go, Patrice, this has always been here. I was always supposed to do this. It was just a little off. The timing just wasn't right,
I love it. Amy, I love it. Okay, so you talked a bit about community. What do you feel are some of the just tangible things that you learned during your time in P2P?
Community is necessary. So it's pushing me out of my comfort zone, actually, because as a leader in ministry for so long, I'd bought into a lie that I couldn't have any close friends. I couldn't have any people I confided in, because at any given moment, somebody could decide they don't like what you said or do or whatever, and now everything they know about you is now able to be seen publicly to everybody. It's just a different kind of thing, and again, when I say bought into the lie, I think that that's probably not just the community itself, but the lies that were exposed in the community. Meaning I wasn't just having my own mindset shifting, the lies weren't getting exposed just in my life. I was seeing them exposed in other people's lives and able to grow with that as well, right? Because I just think that that conversation, there is, seriously, I don't know if there's much more that I love in a community than just being able to sit and talk and listen, because there's so much. I mean, I love when God takes a conversation where it starts and then it's like, oh my gosh, and here we are, and here we are, and here we are, and you just keep pulling on the thread, right? And it's like, oh, wow,
Amy, speaking of that, one of your P2P sisters who I also interviewed for this series is Shabria. And do you remember the master mentor session we had when Shabria had the breakthrough about?
So she was the one who I thought of instantly as I was just talking about it, Shabria, I got to tell you, here's something, and this is that you give us the space to work this out. Okay. So not only was I there watching what happened with Shabria, because now, I'm coming from my perspective, right?
Yes.
And so now I sit there and I go, oh my gosh, I've been sending Shabria messages. I've been talking to her. I'm thinking, she said, the part of crying the white girl tears. And I thought, I've cried. And so here's what happened. God was like on me on that one, because as I started to go down this whole rabbit hole of that, right? It was like, wait a minute. You don't even know. Stop. You don't even know what she said. You don't even know she felt that way. You don't even know, you don't know the role that you were playing in all of that. And maybe all of those things were true and maybe they weren't, but either way, how great is it that you got a chance to experience that, see that, and grow through it? I mean, I was in a moment, a transformational changing moment for Shabria, and I live for those. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Like sign me up for every transformational moment of everybody. Like I want to be there.
And that it was so good. So go back and listen to Shabria's episode from yesterday, you guys. But Shabria's breakthrough was that she thought she was only called to work with Black women. And it was really just rooted in hurt that she had all throughout her life with white people. And
Yes.
so now Amy's talking about, here I am DMing her and sending her messages. Right? But we get to this master mentor session and the whole thing was so beautiful and there was tears and it's like, it
Oh,
was just this whole breakthrough. But I
it
would
was
love to even hear
amazing.
from you as a white woman in a predominantly Black group, because
Yeah.
like, I never could feel anything from you or anyone else, right, who was in the group that may be
Right.
non-Black. I never felt like you felt uncomfortable in any way. Because as I said,
Right.
day one, I was like, can I get my thought out? This lady is in this chat heavy. Like, how is she typing this quickly, right? It instantly, to me, felt like home for you. What did
Yeah.
it feel like for you? What's up, OG listeners and purpose chasers? Guess what time it is? It is purpose challenge time. You know, every year I like to, really take this chase purpose, not money, to the next level by teaching you live in real time for 5 nights all of the things that have helped me evolve and go from literally scraping up change to embracing my purpose and building a thriving platform. And I'm going to teach you because I want you to chase purpose, not money. Right now, go to thepurposechallenge.com and get signed up. We begin on Sunday, March 27th, and it is going to be incredible. Everyone who's been through a challenge, I'm telling you, literally their minds are blown because of how much is really given and how supportive the community is. This is about chains breaking. This is about you getting clarity. This is about you being empowered to take your next best step so that you can literally chase purpose, not money. So join me starting March 27th at 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm also going to be doing tons of giveaways, and the only way that you can enter for the giveaway is to be registered for the challenge. And trust me, engagement pays, so you want to come on over. Come to thepurposechallenge.com. I can't wait to serve you. I am so excited, and I hope that you're excited too, to finally embrace your purpose and take it to the next level. I'll see you there.
Yeah. So it was crazy when we were doing the committed to the call. My husband, I was listening to it downstairs in the living room. So my husband was listening to every day. And, I said, I love her. And he said, I got to tell you, because I had been a part of a couple of other groups and under other coaches, and you were different. But my husband was like, what was different about it was he said, you just connect with her. Like, I'm listening to her and it's like, you could sit down and over drinks, like this is so natural for you. Like, I mean, he was, listening to you. I wasn't even talking yet, right? I'm just doing things in the chat, but he was like, this just feels natural to you. I feel like this is natural to you. And so when I joined the group, and I guess it was really maybe that mindset, Patrice, that was, I'm showing up. I'm showing up. Like I can't afford not to take this opportunity for everything that it is, and it really was that mindset that until that moment when I was sitting there in that moment with Shabria, I kind of did the oh, maybe
Wait, did you scroll through the Zoom screen like, well, wait a minute. Well, wait a second here.
I was kind of like, wait, maybe I shouldn't have been so vocal. Maybe I shouldn't be coming into people's spaces. Maybe I shouldn't, but Patrice, that was so great about what was working on in me, because what happened then as a result was like, are you going to keep, because see, this is where the ministry part came in, right? Oh, so we're going to keep doing that. We're going to keep allowing people to put you back into the box. You're going to keep allowing this mindset to like, oh, somebody didn't like what you were saying because you want to be liked by everybody, because ultimately, like I said, there's a rebel here, but like, I don't think we have to be mean, like, I mean, like there's a part of me that's literally like, if I believe love is the answer, like literally straight up love. Jesus came to tell people about love, show people love, and that we're supposed to love. If we just loved, if that was the answer to all of the questions, like it would look different. We'd show up differently. And so all of a sudden I was doing that thing again, that thing I do, right? That was, I'm shrinking. and that was never Shabria's intention, right? I mean, we're having a moment of rejoicing, celebrating, and believe me, I was crying. It was amazing. And then I walked away from it. I walked away from that moment and fell back into that default setting of, oh, maybe you shouldn't have done that.
But you know what I love? I love that I believe through the weeks that were leading up to that, you were already right aware of those things that you do, because we do a lot of the limiting belief work, and we talk about, I mean, it's a space for healing. So there's a lot of things that happen. And I believe what happens is you can continue to have those thoughts, but how do you respond to them?
Yes.
Because when we react, we go into default mode. But when we respond, we can recognize it as an opportunity to grow. Oh, this is the thing that I do.
Yes.
So what am I going to do differently now that I know it's that same thing that comes up? And we talk about that. So I feel like it came up and you were like, hold on.
Yep, it did. That was it. That was it. Cause it really was, oh, we're going to do this. Like how the Holy Spirit can then take on the voice of Patrice Washington. But I'm just telling you, and I know it can happen because you know what? It happens a lot to my husband. I take the voice of the Holy Spirit, but no, I mean, but really that it really was, as I started to go down, that rabbit hole, it was, oh, we're going to do that now. Because I thought we were done with that. I thought that this was over. I thought we were moving forward because, in the community, like when we talk about the community, coming into that and having mindset be the first thing that you addressed. Okay, here's the deal. And I don't mean like in a super spiritual religious way. I'm a pastor's wife, I think the most, I can't even say it that way. One of the life-changing things was I recognized early on that first week, I think it was, that I actually had bought into the lie that in order to have the greatest impact, I could be in ministry, but I would not ever have money. I bought into a lie that I could never get out of my financial situation. And so I would choose to impact lives, in a self-sacrificing way that people in ministry think somehow is healthy or right. And everything started to break, for me with that mindset, like when you talk about redefining wealth, Patrice, that just, I didn't know I needed that. That how could I stand on a stage and tell people about more than you can imagine, more than you could possibly dream, more than you could ever dare ask for. And yet I was standing there willingly in poverty. What? And so then that shift in the community, as I saw other women, it was like, wait a minute here. Oh my goodness. This is the missing piece. It didn't have to be missing. How many people are walking around missing, these pieces that doesn't have to be that way,
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So good, Amy. I'm so proud of you. Like I just the way that you share and the way that you continue to share in the group and show up and encourage people and acknowledge things and support folks. I mean, it was just it's so encouraging for me because it's a part of what I always envisioned when I said I would do a community for women. Because one of the lies I used to tell myself is that I could only be impactful as a coach if it was one-on-one. And like I kept seeing and having these visions of creating these spaces where people could come together, but I was like, I don't really know. So when people like you show up, which people like you, meaning like-hearted people,
Yes.
different backgrounds, different faiths, different parts of
Oh
the
man.
world, different ages. I mean, every demographic you can imagine, right? In
I
this group.
loved that. I loved that. I mean, do you realize that just being a part of the community, I know you realize, but everybody needs to realize being a part of the community, you go from immediately where you stand to globally.
Mhm.
That blew my mind that all of a sudden this wasn't about a different time zone, an hour or two away from me. I am talking to people. I am in a relationship connection deeply with some of these women across the globe. It blew my mind. Like I said, never mind all of the opportunities, but how I am growing, the friendships that I've made, the people that Shabria, I got to tell you, Patrice, I wish more than anything that I could have just like surprised her and showed up for that
For her event,
breakfast, for
yeah, for
her
her
brunch,
brunch.
right? Like, oh my gosh, right? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that the community, that just doesn't change, that you take that with you, and you are able to think bigger and be challenged and also encouraged. There were women
Yeah.
who said, I have a fabulous family who supports me, and my husband is my number one fan, but I know that that's not the case all the time. And there's still moments where it was a struggle for me, because what I was going through was what I was going through, not in ministry. We were able to go through things together.
Mhm.
It was so important to have that connection of women chasing purpose,
Yeah.
no matter what we were doing, where we were coming from, who was our avatar, who's that ideal client. It didn't matter, because we still had this connection. We had this this common thread of what we're doing. We want to make an impact. We
Yeah.
want to create a legacy that withstands our last breath, on this earth, right?
Yeah. And you and many of your P2P sisters are just the embodiment
Mm.
of what I saw, what I felt in my spirit, what I envisioned. And you
Mm.
said it earlier, love. Like, it all comes down to loving people so much that I want them to know that their God given gifts are more than enough. And whatever God has put on
Oh.
their heart to do, they literally can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they can do it. And yes, P2P has a lot of the skill sets elements there. It has a lot of all the foundational things you need to do
Mm-hmm.
to build a brand and a business online. But I believe, as I see more and more people graduate from P2P, that it's the healing and it's the mindset transformation and it's the community, the sense of
Mm.
knowing that you're not alone. It's the
Yes.
confidence, it's the connection. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like there are so many intangible things
Yes.
I feel that come out of P2P that you cannot put on a sales page. It
Nope.
literally takes talking to someone who has been through the
Yes.
experience and immersed themselves
Yeah.
to truly understand.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's hard. It's so hard sometimes to find the words for an experience, because it just needs to be experienced,
Yeah.
I mean, and purpose to platform. Um, Gosh, it's like, it's so brilliant, even in all of it's literally purpose to platform, right? That for me, I had spent, geez, honestly, Patrice, my whole life, um, trying to fit in a box and be myself enough that was still comfortable for everybody else. And so I have danced on other people's platforms, made an appearance. I've even found ways to make my voice heard through other people and other people's platforms. And purpose to platform really was the wake up call, the push, um, the empowerment I needed to recognize, um, we're not playing around anymore with this, that
Now
somebody
it's
else can't,
personal.
yeah, somebody else can't say it better than me, you know?
Period. Period. Oh my gosh, Amy,
Yeah.
you know, I just adore you. Like, I just adore you. If there's someone here right now, we're in the middle of the Creative for Purpose challenge. So they're in the challenge and they're considering joining our family, our sisterhood for
Yes.
P2P. What would you tell them to consider or think about or do as they figure out if this is the right next step for them?
Mm. Do you want to keep trying to fit in a box and creating a life that you think you should? Or are you ready to quit shooting on yourself and figure out how to thrive in your purpose? Because you will only ever be truly happy being you. It doesn't matter if you are a stay-at-home mom, if you are a business owner, if you are a teacher, a homeschooler, a wife, single, divorced, widowed. Purpose of platform is literally about you, and showing up in the world, bringing light in the darkest places, and really you shine a light on our darkest spaces, so that we can actually see purpose in those, like when you said about the healing process, it really is healing. I walked through a lot of that I didn't recognize, and it was hard, but I would never, never, never not go through it, because I had to go through it. There was no getting around it. There was no, like it was literally the thing God put in front of my path and said, this is the next step. And so for anybody thinking about it, if you're ready to get to know yourself and you're ready to show up in the world in unimaginable ways, because that's really it. You leave that part up to God. You don't come in there telling people this is what it's going to look like for you. And that is what makes it so great, right? Because it's not for me to tell you your purpose. It's just for me to gosh, you guide and walk through it so beautifully with us, so nobody's going to go through it alone, Yeah. So if they want somebody to walk through that process with them, they just need to do this. It is literally life-changing.
It changes my life every cohort.
Oh, I imagine. Absolutely.
Every
I mean,
cohort. And to be now in 2022 and be able
mm,
to look back at graduates from 2019 and 2020
mhm.
and see the things that people are doing like after, right? So it was a lot
Yes.
of healing and cleaning things out
Yep.
and really setting the foundation. And now I see
Yes.
folks just taking off like rockets, and it really does make me just want to keep doubling down and doing
Yes.
it over and over and over
Yes.
again.
Yes.
And I'm so grateful.
I'm so grateful. I mean, I'm even meeting, the gals from the other one. It's truly a community, not just in the cohort that you are in. I was in fall 2021. It's beyond that, because now I've made connections with other P2P sisters, and oh man, my life is just so enriched. Honestly,
Isn't it so good? I know. It's like
there's
you think,
parts of it,
oh,
Patrice, that it's like, how did I spend all before? I mean, the 47 years of my life, how did I not have this? It really is. When I think about younger gals even being able to do this, that to what a start for them. Like my daughters will be doing this, this is the thing, because my daughter and all of this, it just really is, because not only are the materials amazing and incredible and insightful and, gut wrenching, like you dig deep, right, for the answers. The community that comes out of it, the relationships, the connections, it's truly life-changing, and so I would get so excited when I would see people like Shabria or Amber that, are some of our younger gals that were in that, because I thought, man, to have a start like that,
man,
right?
that's what I always think too.
Oh
Oh
man,
yeah. Oh
right?
yeah.
Right?
I see it every day too as I like continue to
Oh,
follow, the young ladies. I mean, Haley in the UK, I think was one of our
oh,
youngest purpose to
yes.
platform yeah, and she was like 20, I
Oh
think, when she
gosh, I
came
love
into
her.
to purpose to platform, and she's engaged now. Like we're watching her grow up, and
Oh, so
like
many
all
gals.
like so many stories. Yeah, like not
Oh,
too young. But then what I love is we also have P2P sisters in their 60s.
oh my goodness. And Patrice, just the wisdom and like I said, I mean, it was just, I was in there just taken from anybody, all the nuggets that they were, the experiences, all of it, and then turning around and doing as much as I could do to give to it. Anybody that wants to listen, anybody that wants to, because there's all of those stages. And looking at even the older women, to me, was like, tell me, tell me, let me sit at your feet and let me listen so that I can avoid things, or that I can learn from your mistakes, your failures, your growth. Let me sit and learn.
Yeah,
It is such an incredible community of giving and taking. It's
giving
and
and
you
receiving.
feel, yes, you feel like you're receiving no matter what you're doing, right?
Yeah,
Because I would show up and it was empowering me to become more me. I was allowed to be myself there, Patrice, in ways that I had not been able to anywhere else. And so thank you for allowing that space for people to show up just as they are, and encourage them to only be them, because the purpose is enough, and
purpose is enough.
everything that we need in order to chase our purpose, to fulfill the purpose, to do, it's already there. It's already there. You're just helping us recognize it. Thank you.
Well, I'm so glad that I got to be a part of this journey with you. And
Mhm.
I'm always praying for the entire community and just so looking forward to seeing what you continue to create, and how you inspire other people to rebel against the ordinary and all
Yes,
that great stuff.
yes,
Thank your husband too for praying
I
for
will.
this session before
I
we
will.
began, because I
I will.
completely felt the anointing and just the
Mhm.
spirit in this conversation. And listen, audience of one, if nobody else is moved by this particular podcast episode, I am moved, I am inspired, and I am encouraged to keep showing
Oh,
up. So thank you,
thank
because I do
you.
it for women like you.
Thank you. Hey, I wanted to ask you, have you heard the new song, Sophia? I'm trying to remember her last name, Loud.
Mm-mm.
Girl, I need you to go listen to that, because everything about the song, I think it came out 3 weeks ago. I don't know, but I had heard it and I didn't realize it was anything that was new. It is like the battle cry for me right now. It is so great because it is literally talking about, don't try to calm me down. I was made to be loud. And
Ooh,
for me, thank you for giving my voice the platform that it needed. It doesn't need to come through anybody else's words anymore, only mine. And it's time to light things up.
yes, it's time to get loud. I love you
Yes,
so much, Amy. Thank you for
yes.
being here.
Thank you, honey. I love you too.
Woo! Didn't I tell you that that was going to be so good? I know I said this in the episode, but Amy, when I got on Zoom, was already kind of weeping because she said her husband came in and prayed over the interview. And I bet you could feel that, because I was getting goosebumps while the interview was happening and I had a sweatshirt on. So I hope that you felt the sincerity and the love and the genuine spirit of that conversation, because it's going down in history. I think is one of my favorite conversations to have with one of my students, because I know how engaged Amy was, and I am so grateful that she got so much out of P2P. And there was more even after I stopped recording. And that is always my heart and my desire and my intention for every single woman who steps into this experience with me for these 12 weeks. And so I hope you are inspired by Amy's story, and that you continue to be inspired, because guess what? I'll be back tomorrow with another client success story, because I think it's really important that you hear in their words what transpired for them, because that's how you know that it can actually be possible for you. So come back tomorrow. Continue to come to the challenge. If you have not signed up yet for the Creative for Purpose Challenge, go to thepurposechallenge.com. Get signed up, join me live, and I know it will be a blessing to you, and I know that it will wake something up in your spirit, because like Amy said, now it's personal. Like, the time is now. All the things that you've been talking about but haven't actually been executing, it's go time. This is your season. You will look back a year from now and be so grateful that you joined us for the Creative for Purpose Challenge. I promise you that. So come on over to thepurposechallenge.com. Until next time, until tomorrow, I want you to go live your life's purpose, find fulfillment, and earn more without ever chasing money. Talk to you later.